All right, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 3 of the KRV Sports Podcast. About 20 minutes ago, there was a major blockbuster deal that went down in Major League Baseball. And the Los Angeles Dodgers were involved. So, I had to bust out the microphone and give my 2 cents about it. It was a really, really big trade. One that I feel like most fans, most people that have been following baseball, especially in the offseason, kind of saw coming. Everybody knew that the Red Sox, are trying to get underneath that luxury tax threshold. They knew Mookie Betts only had 1 year left on his contract, and they weren't going to be able to re-sign him. So it was kind of a trade that everybody saw coming. I think towards the end, it kind of came down to who is it going to be between the Dodgers and the Padres. I know the Padres had their hat in the race. I mean, they didn't even have a shot, if we're going to be honest. Like, if the Dodgers wanted Mookie Betts, they were going to get Mookie Betts. The Padres weren't really an obstacle, if we're going to be 100% honest. But they had their little hat in the race, I guess, you know what I mean? We'll give them their little bit of credit, I guess, you know what I mean? But overall, the Dodgers pulled the trigger, and they landed him. And they, in my opinion, did not give up very much at all. I mean, granted, and I say that kind of half-heartedly just because I'm a huge Alex Verdugo fan. I bought his jersey last year. I have it actually hanging in my closet. I bought an all-black, it's an all-black jersey with the Dodgers. God, I have like a cough that won't come out. Jeez, sorry. But I bought this black Alex Verdugo jersey. The Dodgers is in all blue, and it's super nice. I love it. It's actually the most recent Dodgers jersey I purchased. And it's gone. Dude, he's a Red Sox now, so I won't be able to wear that to very many games anymore until he's retired. You know what I mean? But yeah, the Red Sox are getting Alex Verdugo, which I think is a great move for them. I know I noticed a lot of Red Sox fans that were upset on Twitter about it. And if any of those guys happen to be listening to this podcast, just know that Alex Verdugo is a stud. He's still a developing player, but last year, before his injuries, I know he had back injuries that kept him from playing for a while, but I mean, the guy was electric. I mean, he just brings such an energy to the clubhouse. You can kind of see it radiating to all the other players. So it's going to be good to see him kind of be able to develop. I think that pesky pull in right field, I can imagine him just dinking and dunking a lot of home runs over there. So I'm really excited to see Alex Verdugo, be able to maybe hopefully get a little bit more of a spotlight in Major League Baseball, because the Dodgers have such a cluttered lineup of stars and just so many people that they need to play that, trying to fit Alex Verdugo into the picture just realistically would have been hard. And if we're going to be honest, there's so many left-handed bats that it's just being able to have a right-handed bat in the lineup like Mookie Betts is just gigantic. So the Alex Verdugo is technically, in my opinion, maybe a little bit of a price to pay, but ultimately, when you look at the other options that the Dodgers have, not only in their current lineup, but just up and coming in the farm system, Alex Verdugo. Oh my God, I just dropped the entire world. I'm so sorry, but Alex Verdugo ultimately really is just a really kind of small little price to pay. So the other little issues, or not little issues, but the other little key components of this deal, the Dodgers are getting David Price as kind of a little combo deal in the trade. So the Dodgers are getting Mookie Betts and David Price. I believe that the Dodgers are getting $50 million cash along with them, mostly to kind of cover David Price's contract, because I know he's owed quite a hefty toll, and I think the Dodgers were pretty hell-bent on the Boston Red Sox chewing a little bit of that contract. But ultimately, the Red Sox are doing everything they can to stay under that luxury tax threshold. So all the money that they can shed right now off their payroll is what they're trying to do. And they accomplished that in this trade. So, but the other little key parts, and that's the major kind of meat and bones of the trade. The other parts of the trade is the third team, which is the Minnesota Twins. They were sending Broussard Graterol to Boston, and they're receiving Kenta Maeda from the Dodgers. So that's quite. So I believe the third team is Broussard Graterol to the Red Sox, and that's just kind of like keep down the costs on the Dodger side of things. So instead, they're sending Kenta Maeda over to the Twins. So this is kind of, the Dodgers' way of getting Mookie Betts and getting, what they want without having to super overpay with their prospects, because they have so many prospects. The Dodgers are notorious for pumping out prospects left and right, but if you can hold them when you can, it's a good thing. So, getting rid of somebody like Kenta Maeda, although I still think he's a really good pitcher, I think he's super underrated. when you look at the other options like Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin and all these pitchers that are up and coming, he's expendable. So it just makes more sense to kind of get rid of him. So it's a really good move, really good on Andrew Friedman to kind of get a third team involved to kind of, lighten the load on the cost of obtaining Mookie Betts and David Price. So good on them. And then I believe this is a completely separate trade. I believe this trade happened like around the same time, but I don't think they have anything to do with each other. And that's the Dodgers sending Joc Pederson to the Angels. In return, they're getting Luis Rengifo, who is a number 10 prospect in the Angels farm system. So, I mean, when I saw that trade, I was a little bit confused because I could have sworn Joc Pederson would have commanded a little more than just one big prospect from a team, maybe like one other prospect or something, along maybe some pitching help, some sort of, I don't know, something of the sort. But, a 1-for-1 swap for Joc Pederson, who's been like arguably your most clutch hitter in the playoffs the last like handful of years, it's just a little weird. I think it's something that I don't really understand. The thing that I do understand is the Dodgers are so left-hand heavy. Their entire lineup, when you look at Cody Bellinger, Corey Seager, all of these left-handed bats, you know what I mean? It makes sense that you would kind of want to limit that so that you're not throwing complete lefty lineups out and then having to adjust later on in the game via your bench and players that are, it's nicer to be able to put a consistent lineup every single day out on the lineup, because the platoon thing, yeah, I guess it keeps players fresh and whatnot, but it's like the only way for players to get out of slumps or for these players to be able to consistently play at a level is to play the game. So when you have these players that are constantly getting benched because there's this pitcher on the mound and this guy throws from this side, so we got to bench him, and players are constantly getting benched, it's hard to kind of get into like the swing of things. You know what I mean? I'd imagine it's hard to get in the swing of hitting every single day when you're not hitting every single day. So again, it's good to get Joc Pederson. He's again been the most clutch bat in the Dodgers for the playoffs for I don't even know how long. He's hit so many clutch home runs in the World Series especially. So it is a bummer to see him go. But it is what it is. Again, it's a business. And I think a big thing that's hard for me sometimes, especially in all sports, is I love the athletes so much that sometimes when they get traded, I'm looking more at my admiration for them as a player more so than I am like what is the overall like benefit for the team. You know what I mean? And like, does it suck to see Joc Pederson leave? Is he a player that I have a lot of value in just because of how much I like him? Yes, but at the end of the day, like I said, you have to look at baseball as a business, right? And he's an expendable player, and the Dodgers felt like they, wanted to take a shot on this random shortstop in the Angels farm system. So again, hopefully Andrew Friedman has had a pretty good track record of making these decisions that kind of make your head scratch a little bit that end up just working out fantastically. Like I remember when they acquired Adam Kolarek and Casey Sadler, and people were like, who the hell are these guys? Nobody knows them. And then they turn out to be absolute studs when, on the Dodgers out of nowhere. They did the same thing with Rich Hill. When they brought in Rich Hill, people were confused, and then he ends up being dominant. And they just have such a good staff of coaches, like pitching coaches and just coaches in general, that they can kind of take these risks on these players that are on the bubble of being really good, and then kind of getting them over that hump into being really good players. But overall, this makes me so excited for baseball season. I can't even begin to explain. When you look at a possible lineup of like Mookie Betts, you know what I mean, Corey Seager, Justin Turner, Cody Bellinger, Max Muncy, maybe even batting second, you know what I mean? You can make so many different options. But being able to have another complimentary right-handed thunder bat in the lineup to accompany Justin Turner is just gigantic. That's so huge for that lineup. Now, if they can only add a couple more hands to the bullpen, I know we picked up Blake Treinen, and I really hope that he can regain some of his old status, I guess you could say, because last year was kind of a little bit of a shaky year for him. So hopefully he can kind of figure it out. Again, I know the Dodgers, when it comes to the pitchers, they have this way of turning, a lot of bad pitchers into good pitchers. It's how it works. So hopefully they kind of figure that out. Hopefully they end up picking up one or two more arms. God knows they could use it. But again, when you're getting Mookie Betts, it's hard to be upset. You know what I mean? Again, it's easy to place sentimental value in players, but when you're getting fucking Mookie Betts, like, come Come on, we got Mookie fucking Betts, dude. That's great. So that's really something to be excited for Dodger fans. I know the rest of the league is probably shaken, you know what I mean, a little bit. I've already gotten in a couple Twitter arguments with some really sad and salty fans, you know what I mean, especially Padre fans. Could you imagine being a Padres fan and just, like, your team finally does, like, a big move by signing Manny Machado to a $300 million deal for him to be, like, average at best, you know what I mean? A player that literally in spring training in an interview said he was competing for a wild card. Like, come on. The Padres take another L. Big shocker there. But, again, I think this is a great thing for the Dodgers. I'm really excited to kind of see this lineup in action. Opening day couldn't come sooner enough. Spring training is actually right around the corner. I know me and my buddy Josh, who is actually going to probably be a feature on this podcast, talking about some NBA, because we're both pretty big basketball fans. I know he's a really big basketball fan, and he's got a lot of entertaining things to say. He's a big Lakers fan though, which is unfortunate. So we'll have to get past that. But he's gonna be on the podcast later, talking about some basketball. But I mean, other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I kind of just wanted to run down this trade, kind of give my little 2 cents about it per usual. You know what I mean? I guess we can talk about the Super Bowl, right? The Super Bowl was pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good Super Bowl. I figured the Chiefs were going to win. I thought, you know, if the 49ers defense could kind of shove those runners down their throat, that Chiefs defense is known for being a little bit paper thin sometimes, you know what I mean? So it was kind of crazy to see. It was a really good Super Bowl. I thought overall it was a really good Super Bowl. I'm a big Patrick Mahomes fan. I don't know why. I just feel like the way he plays, you know what I mean? I mean, that divisional game or the championship game when he was just dipping and dotting at the goal line. Oh, man, that was so beautiful. It's hard to not root for a player like Patrick Mahomes. So, but other than that, I mean, that's about it for me, ladies and gentlemen. But, you know, go Dodgers. We'll see how it goes. You know, hopefully we don't lose another World Series, even though, you know, there's some questions, some asterisks in the last two, but we won't even get into it. You know what I mean? But, overall, I hope you guys did enjoy this podcast, episode 3. Episode 4 will be out whenever it comes out, so be on the lookout for that. But make sure you guys are subscribing and all that good stuff. So wherever you guys are at in the world, I hope you guys do have a good day or night, and peace, everybody.